ah, ah, oh, aha, ha, ooh, he, ha, ha.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Joker movie review, a new beginning for DC films and for the character itself. I'll talk about where he fits into the pantheon of Jokers, talking about Heath Ledger all the way back to the classic versions of the character, and where the movie fits in with the grander design for what Warner Brothers is doing with their DC films. We're doing a giveaway for movie tickets. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite Joker moment on the video. So the Joker movie is all about the character Arthur Fleck, a relatively normal person suffering from some mental and physical conditions whose life slowly starts to unravel after he's attacked by a group of kids on the street. He slowly descends through the movie as darker and darker feelings come out of him. He doesn't get the help that he needs until he becomes the character that you know from the comics as the Joker. Previously, when I heard that they were doing a Joker origin story movie like this, I was very skeptical because in the comics, the Joker is famous for never having a definitive origin story. Most people view Batman the Killing Joke, the closest thing you could give to an origin story to a character like that, but part of the magic of him as a villain, and he is probably DC's biggest comic book villain, is that he's very vague about his past, and that makes him more mysterious and even scarier. And I feel like Christopher Nolan really understood that when he did Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, the way he wrote that character. Each time he introduces himself to another group of people to terrorize them, he tells a very different version of his origin story. You want to know how I got these scars? Joaquin Phoenix's character, Arthur Fleck, in this world of Gotham in the movie is very different from Nolan's versions though, so you can only loosely compare them. Heath Ledger, obviously probably one of the most iconic versions of the Joker ever. His performance was amazing, but I feel like Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker and his performance stands right up there with Heath Ledger's. So even if you don't like the Joker movie quite as much as you like, say, The Dark Knight, I feel like Joaquin Phoenix will be nominated for an Oscar for his performance. The movie itself is fantastic, but you kind of have to know what you're getting when you go into it. And obviously, Heath Ledger, Dark Knight, very different type of movie than the Joker movie. The Dark Knight trilogy is more of a big action film. The Joker movie is more of a deep character study with some action, and it isn't completely actionless, but it doesn't feel anything like Batman movies that you've seen before. And that's another one of the biggest differences, is that every time you've seen a version of the Joker before, they've had a Batman there to sort of balance out his morality. So you have all these terrible things that the Joker might be doing, like Heath Ledger going around town blowing everything up, but you have Christian Bale's Batman to step in and say, this is why what you're doing is wrong. No matter what's happened to you, no matter what your ideology is, he provides you with a very concrete perspective on what's bad and what's good. Whereas one of the more unsettling aspects of the Joker movie is that it doesn't have any of that. It just has bad to worse, because this Arthur Fleck character, you're kind of meant to sympathize with him, and there's a lot of talk around the movie, people giving hot takes about how that's a bad thing. Cannot wait for all those hot takes to go away. But one of the more difficult things that the movie asks of us, the viewers, is what our role is in his sort of descent into madness, in his origin story as the Joker. How much are we as society responsible for creating people like this? What role do we play in it? You really don't get that from any of Christopher Nolan's or any of the previous versions of the Batman. This town needs an enema. You even talk about Jack Nicholson's character. Most of the other previous iterations of the Joker are fairly conscious of what they're doing at all times. They know what they're doing is wrong. They're out for revenge. Whereas the picture they paint with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker character is that he's just seeking to get help for all of his problems and not finding it from any of the people around him or the systems within Gotham City. So a big part of the commentary of the film is the ways that society treats the mentally ill. His laugh was great too, very distinct from the other iconic versions of the Joker's laugh. It's the first thing you think about when you think about the Joker. His laugh, though, is part of who he is. It's almost like it physically hurts him to laugh so hard. He starts coughing sometimes mid-laugh, as if he can't stop laughing. Most of the other versions of the Joker laugh because they want to freak you out. It's more of an automatic response with his character. Everyone's been talking about all the comparisons to Travis Bickle, a Taxi Driver, and Scorsese's King of Comedy. There are some criticisms that the movie is almost too much of a blueprint of a Scorsese film. There is so much Travis Bickle in Joaquin Phoenix's performance, in his character, in his origin. Even some of the shots in the film are mirrors of Taxi Driver scenes, like when he's playing with the gun, when he's slowly sort of working on his Joker makeup. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, but if you're not a big fan of Scorsese or if you haven't seen those films, you won't quite get the references, so it might not be quite as meaningful. But a lot of people come away from the movie thinking that this is basically just Taxi Driver if it had been done as a comic book movie. Those are all fantastic films, so if you're going to borrow from something, borrow from the best. The music is fantastic, the cinematography is amazing. Like I said, deep character study. You spend most of the movie following around Joaquin Phoenix's character as he's slowly pushed to violence at every turn as things start to unravel for him. Most of the other criticisms against the film have to do with the way it portrays violence. There's been a lot of hot takes, like I said, and I think it's okay to ask questions like that. But if you've ever seen any kind of movie, and if you understand that this movie is about the Joker, I really don't think that it's an issue. I think that a lot of the people that are criticizing the film for its violence just don't know who the Joker is, or it's been too long since The Dark Knight came out and they've completely forgot who the Joker character is, or they don't read comics. Comparing it to other rated R movies like Deadpool, this movie is less violent than the Deadpool movie. The difference is that this movie is just so much more serious in the way it treats all these moments, so you're just hypnotized by Joaquin Phoenix's performance. There's been a lot of talk about his behind-the-scenes antics on set. It's all part of him just being this totally amazing, totally weird person that comes up with some of the most fantastic performances you've seen. Seriously, some of his best movies are some of his weirdest characters. There was a deleted scene they posted recently of his character slowly coming to the Joker identity as he's writing a letter to Murray Gold, the character that's played by Robert De Niro, Travis Bickle himself. So there was no mistake that he cast Robert De Niro in this movie that is inspired by a lot of Robert De Niro's earlier films.
It's interesting that you say that because Todd sent me an outtake reel, and we cut it down a bit, but, well, let's take a look at that and tell us what was happening here.
No, just like the concert whispering, just shut the up, dude. I'm trying to find something real. Oh, sorry, it's only such a it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Just singer, actor, dancer, fashion icon. How is that insult? I can't do this, man.
In reality, he's not that crazy all the time, but that's just him in the moment. I was very happy to see that Robert De Niro did not phone his performance in, because at this point in his career, he's got so much money and so many accolades that he could just do whatever he wants. He could completely phone in everything he does from now on. But his character is a bit of a spin on his previous King of Comedy movie. He plays a talk show host like Johnny Carson in a show that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker character idealizes and watches. Just like during Batman the Killing Joke, the character is an aspiring comedian, so Robert De Niro's talk show is something that he idealizes and feels like he could achieve some of the recognition that he's been wanting so badly from everyone. Talking about some of the other more important characters, Frances Conroy plays his mother. She's integral to his origin story and what drives him to eventually become the Joker. The way she comes off in the trailers is totally creepy and totally weird, is exactly the way she is during the film, and that's exactly the way the film needs her to be, so her performance was amazing. Zazie Beetz was also great as the woman that he has a brief relationship with, or tries to have a brief relationship with. The movie does play some really interesting mind games with her character and the Joker character, because you're taking his perspective, so you're seeing the world through his eyes, and because of his condition, sometimes you're getting false narration, so you'll see things one way earlier in the film, and then later the truth will be revealed that things did not actually play out that way. Then, of course, there's Brett Cullen, who's playing Thomas Wayne. I think early on, when I first saw that he was cast, the way they talked about the character made it sound like he was actually going to be one of the villains of the film, which is a very interesting twist on the Thomas Wayne character. Someone who you've seen in so many different iterations of the Batman origin story as a very loving, caring father who cared about the Gotham community, only seen as this great charitable person who did everything he could to give money to the people that needed it in the city. Brett Cullen's version of the character comes off as much more imperialistic. It's a very different take on the character, but remember what I said. The Joker's mind, false narration, sometimes you're not always seeing things correctly. And throughout the film, the Joker keeps getting all this new information about his backstory that he assumes is correct information, which isn't always necessarily the case. There's a lot of people that tell him things that later turn out to be false. So there's this nice parallel between them unraveling the story as his mind is slowly unraveling as he's being pushed to violence. I thought the set design was great. They made it look really gritty and grimy like you would expect Gotham City to be. It looks like a slightly more realistic version of Tim Burton's Gotham from his original Batman film. Talking about the end of the film without getting too spoilery, I feel like they nailed the ending in a very clear origin for the character. It's a very complete loop where they could do sequels if they want to, but Joaquin Phoenix is known for doing sequels, and Todd Phillips makes it sound like they don't have a sequel planned. But right now, the movie is on track to break Venom's record for all-time highest earning October release. So if it winds up doing gangbusters, I feel like they'll try to do everything they can to get Joaquin Phoenix to come back. But when you think about the timeline of the film and how this might cross over with other Batman-related films, The way Todd Phillips has been talking about this is a DC Black Label is this sort of bubble outside the regular DC universe where they can tell rated R DC stories, hardcore stories that wouldn't necessarily mix with the tone of what the other films are doing, even the slightly more serious version of the Batman that Matt Reeves is working on. I feel like it's not a spoiler to say that Bruce Wayne does appear during this film. The age difference between them is so significant that it would take a lot of bending over backwards to get the two of those characters in a film in the future. You would have to have a very serious time jump too. Like I said though, the movie is fantastic. Even though there's so many hot takes, don't listen to that. Go see the movie, just enjoy it for yourself. And once you do have a chance to see it, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Overall, I give the film a B+, A-. It's not perfect, but it is amazing and definitely will be nominated for a lot of awards. I will do Easter egg videos for it this weekend, more specific videos about the ending, possible sequel jumping off points. So if you have any big questions about the movie that you want me to address during those, just let me know in the comments below. I'll name a new giveaway winner when I post that next Joker video. Everybody click here for the brand new Flash Season 6 Crisis on Infinite Earths trailer, and click here to rewatch that new Birds of Prey trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody put on a happy face. I'll see you guys tonight.